Peace and blessings, everyone. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. John 3:16. I'm pretty sure that you are quite familiar with this passage. It's one of the most often quoted and used by Christians throughout the world. You generally see it at games or whatnot, in the stands and the sign in the background. And it's the fact that I saw this while watching a retelecast of an old game that led me to make this video. And I started thinking about that passage. For God so loved the world. And I started thinking about those words. For God so loved the world. He loved this world so much that he allowed his Son to come down and be murdered, be killed, be crucified, to be sacrificed, so that people who believed in him will be forgiven of their sins and receive eternal life in heaven. It is saying that's how much God loved the world. But as I examine this, as I look at this and think about this, I see a flaw in that. And so this, in a way, will help those out there understand what I mean when I say the Bible is flawed. There are contradictions in the Bible. There's plenty of ambiguity in the Bible. And the Bible is flawed in so many ways. And I will use this as an example. For if we examine the Bible and we judge it as far as its quality and its writing, its storyline, things of that nature, in the same way and manner that we would any other book, then we would have to admit this. You would have to admit this. If you were to critique this book, the Holy Bible, in the same manner that you do any and every other book, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, you will come away saying the Bible is full of contradictions, it's flawed, and is ambiguous. Either or all the above. And this cannot be denied. But unfortunately what happens is that Christians decide to make their belief truth instead of truth their belief. And they make excuses for this fact and basically just push it aside and say that what is most important is that they believe that it is not contradictory and it is not flawed and is not ambiguous and things of that nature. So back to God so loved the world. So when I look at that, I said, well, God so loved the world. If he so loved the world, I would think the story would go like this. For God so loved the world that he forgave Adam and Eve of their transgression, and they lived happily ever after, the end. Or, for God so loved the world that he did not allow the serpent to get into the Garden of Eden to trick, persuade Eve to take an apple so that she would give to Adam. And everyone lived happily ever after The end. Or God so loved the world that he did not start it out with rules that could be broken. And everyone lived happily ever after. The end. Or for God so loved the world that he did not put in the garden the tree of knowledge, which, if it was eaten, will cause the fall of man. And everyone lived happily ever after. The end. Or, for God so loved the world that with the wink of an eye, the snap of his fingers, the wiggle of his nose, he caused to occur pure bliss and happiness. And everyone lived happily ever after. The end. For God so loved the world that in the beginning he decided there would never be pain, suffering, strife, death, mayhem, fear, starvation, famine, disease, hunger, starvation. Pestilence. Apathy. Ignorance. Hate. Anger. War. Fighting. Disease. And everyone lived happily ever after. The end. And I could probably go on. For God so loved the world. God bless. Peace and love.